So we've been getting quite a bounty of teachings. First Geshe Topke and now Geshe Yeshe. And I was reviewing my notes from Geshe Topke, and there was a sentence that I wrote in my notes that was jarring to me, actually. It is, all the efforts to get what I need in this life are only going to bring me suffering. Boy, I did not like to read that, I'll tell you. I just recoiled at that. So when that happens, I know that I'm really not understanding that sentence, and I'm not even remotely in line with reality. So I've been working with that sentence a little bit. And especially a sentence like this, I need to think deeply about it and unpack it in a manner that helps me to go forward. Because a sentence like this, I can kind of stop in my tracks, and so it's important to pay attention to the things that really affect us so deeply, I think, and not in a good way often. So then yesterday, Geshe Yeshe talked about the 16 attributes of the 4 truths of Aryas, and also Venerable Children. And so I went back to volume 3, that section in Samsara, Nirvana, and Buddha Nature to get some help. And, it's so wonderful, this path, that, I don't have to figure it out by myself. There's always an answer somewhere. If I just put attention to it, I can figure it out with all of these resources that we have. That's very comforting, I will say. Anyhow, in this section of that book, His Holiness writes, the 16 attributes of the 4 truths are taught to protect us from dukkha by helping us to develop wisdom and insight. So these are important. Yeah, very important. So each truth has 4 attributes which counteract the 4 distorted conceptions about each noble truth. The 16 attributes, he goes on, the 16 attributes are presented according to the common view acceptable to all Buddhist tenet systems. That's helpful for me because at the stage of my practice, which is very beginning, I have not even remotely realized emptiness, of course, but I do have the possibility to realize the course 16 attributes of the 4 truths in this life if I study and meditate and practice with this content. And by doing that, then I would realize course selflessness, and that's the lack of a self-sufficient, substantially existent person. Of course, the disturbing reaction I have to this sentence, all efforts to get what I need in this life are only going to bring suffering. It's due to my distorted conceptions of believing impermanent things to be permanent, things that are by nature unsatisfactory to be pleasurable, the unattractive to be attractive, and what lacks a self to have one. So today I want to talk a little bit about believing the impermanent to be permanent. We can look in the Aryadeva's 400, that's it, thank you. So the first 4 chapters talk about these distortions, and give antidotes. So once again, here's another beautiful text that, leads us the way that we need to think. So good. So first, remembering that aging and dying is simply preconditioned by birth. But, I can say that, but for that to impact me, I have to make it personal. So each time I get sick, or when the body isn't working as well as when I was younger, which happens a lot now. I put my energy into acceptance and remember that this is supposed to happen. I'm on track with impermanence. Yeah. Everything that comes together falls apart. So instead of, what I used to do, which is, push it away or get angry or I don't want it or, distract or whatever, I'm right on track. This is exactly how it's supposed to be. Then we can do the meditations on the Lam Rim, the 9-point death meditation, and imagine our death over and over and over and over and over and then over again. Very helpful. Gets it into our mind. I think if we have no remembrance of death, then there's not a whole lot of incentive to practice because we won't think so much about future lives. And that's important to think about. And so, but again, I need to make this relevant in my life. So, my goal is to progress as far as possible in this life. Death is right around the corner. I don't know when, but, it's right around the corner. I know that. So to choose wisely how I spend my time preparing for my next life, very important, very meaningful, actually. And of course, the thought of death is sobering. It doesn't have to be depression or like, freaking out about it, because this is the normal process. This is what happens. We've all died many times. We will die many more times, everything. So that's to, wrap our brain around that, to get in line with reality. Get in line with reality. So when we think about death, it is sobering, but it helps keep a sense of balance, And when we think about it every day, then it really has the power to transform each moment, to make, each moment meaningful. It has that ability to do that if we think about it in this way. So remembering death, I realize I undergo change constantly. Science helps me with that. Sometimes I think about all the cells that are in this body right now dying, and the bone marrow right now that is creating some new cells this moment. It's busy in there. Lots of things are happening continually, So I remember that, and it's like, there's nothing solid here, nothing. Changing continually. And it's an involuntary process, this change that's happening. And it's determined by factors that are not in my control. That's another point that can get, but no, it's not in my control. So let me not fight against it. Let me accept what happens. Because I can, because then I'm working with my mind, The mind is very strong. No matter what happens, if I work with my mind properly, it doesn't matter what happens. Remembering death is the path to realizing coarse and then subtle impermanence. And so if we practice like this, when we hear this sentence, all the efforts to get what I need in this life are only going to bring suffering, I remember then that all of this grasped at happiness arises from karma and afflictions. And grasping onto samsaric happiness as stable and real and reliable is so foolish because it's impermanent. And practicing this way over time will lead to wisdom and insight. That leads to Buddhahood. That leads us to be able to benefit others in such the excellent way. So we have it all laid out in front of us. All we have to do is keep our attention on it, practice with some compassion, and we will progress without a doubt. And so we could do that.